Hey, welcome back to my channel. I make weekly art tutorials, paint-alongs and vlogs, and in this video I have a massive absolutely massive art haul that I have done over the span of months. Like, this actually started before my last art haul video, and I have finally decided to unbox everything and give everything a home. I'm not going to lie, it has been so long for some of these items that I am genuinely not quite sure everything that I bought. But honestly, that almost makes me even more excited. Yeah, I'm almost in for a surprise. I'm going to be cutting down on hauls this year, but I felt so excited about everything that I wanted to create and everything that I had amassed over the past few months that I just felt it was the right time to unbox it, to share it, and to give everything a home. I'll make a point of linking everything down below in the description, so be sure to check that out. Okay, don't judge me. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not new to this channel, then you already know that I love Roman Szmal watercolors. And as I mentioned, this haul has spanned months. So I actually bought these extra colors before they so kindly sent me this incredible gift that I will talk about a little bit later in the video. These 5 colors are actually replacing my most used colors from my current palette. So we have Payne's Grey. You can see one of the things that I love is that they actually swatch on their wrappers, so you can see the colors there. We have Mineral Violet, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Hooker's Green, which to me kind of looks like a sap green, which is why I got it, and then Ultramarine Intense. And these colors are colors that are new to my palette that I kind of felt would be great additions. So first we have, and I can't say this, this stunning grey that is Pribits grey, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's got like undertones of purple in it. I just thought beautiful, stunning. Then we have Buff Titanium. Now this is a color that I've been meaning to add to my arsenal for quite a while now, because I just feel like it's a great addition for urban sketching especially. And then I decided to get a Prussian blue, and I just thought it was a really pretty blue. I know sometimes light fastness is an issue, but they say it is 8 out of 8, which means it won't fade. But yeah, I just thought it was an absolutely beautiful, deep, rich blue. These are the Roman Szmal colors that I got. Coincidentally, Roman Szmal also released a wonderful brand new urban sketching palette, which I have swatched, reviewed and painted with in a separate video that I will link for you. And I created this painting using a course from Domestika, which you can get 10% off of, as well as any other course, using my link down below in the description. So if you want to see more about this palette, or you want to know more about Roman Szmal, then be sure to check out that video. Staying on a theme of paints, I got some more Roman Szmal colors, but I will explain why I'm talking about them separately. Okay, so essentially, Roman Szmal announced, like many other brands, that they are going to be discontinuing paints that contain the pigment P048, which is Quinacridone burnt orange. And that pigment is also used in a lot of different brands to make the Quinacridone gold hue, because Quinacridone gold, which is P049, was discontinued a few years ago, and since then they've been recreating hues to kind of have that same color. If all this terminology is new to you, or you're new to watercolors, or you just want to know more about watercolor pigments, then be sure to check out the video that I created where I just answered all the questions that I wish I had answers to when I started off with watercolors. I also created a free guide for my Ko-fi members, which is my equivalent of Patreon, just to complement the video. So for that reason, I got this called Quinacridone Gold, but it's actually a Quinacridone Gold hue, and this is made with PY150, which is Azo Yellow, and P048, which is going to be discontinued. There's the Quinacridone Gold hue, which is made with PR102 and PY150. And to be honest, I already have this and I've almost run out of it because I absolutely love it. Complement all of that, I got Quinacridone Burnt Sienna P048 to try and see if I could mix my own colors and to kind of learn what's so special about this pigment. Keeping in the same theme, I then got some more Quinacridone Golds. So I got Quinacridone Gold by Holbein, a 15 ml tube of watercolor, and this is P048 and PY150. And then I also got Quinacridone Gold by Daniel Smith, which is again P048 and PY150. And then And then I got Quinacridone Burnt Orange, which is PO48 by Daniel Smith. And kind of keeping in a similar vein, I got Undersea Green, which is this beautiful color by Daniel Smith and is in my travel palette. And it's a green that I absolutely love, but it does contain PO48. So I kind of felt, rather than trying to mix it myself, I was kind of scared that at some point it would get discontinued. And given that I use it and I like it, I decided to get a whole separate tube of it. And then for the same reason, I got the Daniel Smith Sap Green, which is a beautiful sap green that I really tend to like using, and again contains PO48. So this is kind of like my PO48 haul. Daniel Smith, I think, released a video basically talking about it and said that they have 15 years worth of the pigment, so it's definitely like no need to like run out and get it. But one, I didn't know what they would do with the prices, and two, I kind of felt that this would be a good opportunity to compare them, especially if, like me, you're curious about the different quinacridone golds, and then be able to pick my favorite and kind of decide if I want to buy more or if I have more than enough. I'll keep you posted on that. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and to consider subscribing, as it is a free way that makes a massive difference to this channel. Thank you. Oh. So this is the Holbein Acrylic Gouache. It's 12 tubes of 12 ml. If you watch art YouTube, you will have probably seen them. They're just so popular, and I have wanted to try them for ages, like absolutely ages. And if you don't know acrylic gouache, once it's dry, it's like permanent, so it behaves slightly differently to normal gouache, which you can reactivate. But yeah, I've just really been eyeing these for I think like a year, and I finally bit the bullet. So this is I guess a relatively small set. So in addition to that, I got a few extra colors that I kind of felt would make a nice addition. One of the main colors that I almost always like run out of is yellow. And so I bought an extra yellow, but this is kind of a yellow that falls between these two. Then I got Prussian blue. You can tell that I kind of had Prussian blue on the brain at the time, like it's just a really nice deep beautiful blue. And then I got some more titanium white, because white is also the other color that I just tend to run out of all the time, and I kind of felt like a 12 ml tube wouldn't be enough. So my rationale behind this is to try it out, experiment, do painting, see if I love Holbein gouache, compare it to the Turner gouache that I have already, and then kind of decide, do I want to get more acrylic gouache, and if I do, just buy individual tubes rather than buying these sets. So that was my thinking behind it. As well as linking everything down below in the description, I will be doing separate videos where I'll swatch them and paint with them and just highlight everything in a bit more detail. Next, in the same theme, oh okay. So this is a set of Holbein Artist Gouache. It comes with 12 colors in 5 ml tubes, but the tubes are tiny. tiny, but at least this time I knew that they were going to be small. And again, my rationale behind this is to get a set and to really play around with Holbein and see if I love them more than Winsor & Newton. They are certainly on the pricier side compared to Winsor & Newton, but I've just heard so many great things. I've seen so many like beautiful paintings, and I wanted to know for myself. So these are the colors that the set comes with. As I said, they're 5 ml tubes, which are conservative in size to say the least. But the colors inside are Carmine, which is PR 170, Flame Red, which is PR 9, which I haven't heard of before, Permanent Yellow Deep, which is PY 1, Lemon Yellow, which is PY 3, Permanent Green Light, PY 3 and PG 7, Permanent Green Deep, PY 3, PG 7 and PB 15. It's a lot of pigments. Turquoise Blue, which is PG 50. Ooh, so cobalt. Interesting. PG 15, PB 15, PG7 and PW6, so even more pigments in that. Ultramarine Deep, PB29, as we would expect. Violet is BV15 and PB29, so this is probably fugitive. Bs are normally like dyes. Then Burnt Sienna, which is PBR7 and PR101. Ivory Black, which is PBK6, and Permanent White. But as well as getting this like tiny set, I also got some additional colors, and when you buy them individually they're a lot bigger. So I got this lemon yellow, which as we discussed was PY3. And although it comes in this set, yellow is just a color that I tend to use a ton, especially when I'm doing landscapes. It just made sense to get an extra tube because I knew 5 mils wouldn't be enough. I also got yellow ochre, which is PY42 and PY43. These tubes are 20 mil tubes. I got some zinc white, which is excellent for mixing, as well as some extra permanent white, which is better for highlights, I find. So permanent white has like a really strong tint, usually has a really strong tinting strength, so it will pull things like drastically towards white, whereas zinc white is a little bit more understated and I prefer for mixing. And then I also got magenta. Like I really was having magenta, opera, rose kind of colors on the brain at the time that I was shopping, and this set doesn't include it, and I just kind of felt like it would be a slightly harder color for me to be making myself. This is BV15. I think that will probably be fugitive as well, which means that it will probably fade with time. On top of that, I got opera. As I said, it was really on the brain, and this is BR1 and BV 11. So again, I think it will probably be fugitive, but I just think it's such a beautiful color. And umber, which is PBR7, and I just think it's a great staple, really great for mixing, and I use it a lot, like a lot when I'm doing landscapes. I got cobalt turquoise, which is PG50, and it's because I love it in my Winsor & Newton set, so I kind of felt like it would be a great addition to this set as well. And last but not least, I got a Prussian blue, which is PB27, and that is the addition. It's almost like a weird split primary or a limited palette that I also got. So these are the colors that I'm pretty sure that I will enjoy. These are the colors that I will use to complement that, and based on this I may get like an extra tube of maybe red or burnt sienna to just complement the full set. So I think moving forward, this is pretty much what I'm going to do. I'll either try to buy individual tubes or buy like smaller sets, try them out, and then invest in the colors that I actually want to get rather than getting a really big set. I was really tempted by the Idori sets, you know, that they have based on seasons. But then when I looked at the actual colors in there and the colors available, I kind of felt that it was better for me to create a palette that contained all the colors that I wanted in it. So that's the rationale. As I mentioned, I really wanted to add buff titanium to my palette just because I really want to do more urban sketching. I want to paint outdoors more, and even if I'm not outdoors, I want to paint like stuff that you find outdoors. So I want to paint buildings, I want to paint seascapes, and I kind of felt like it would be a great addition to my palette for that. So I got buff titanium in Daniel Smith to add to the travel palette that I've been carrying around on holiday as well, my Daniel Smith palette. And then, as I mentioned, I was really like intensely wanting to paint with opera pink. I can't explain why, but thus I decided to get opera pink in watercolor as well, and I got the PR122 by Daniel Smith. And then I've been meaning to experiment with these sticks. This is a stick of Daniel Smith extra fine watercolor, and it's essentially like condensed watercolor. So the rationale being that I should be able to cut a bit, put it in a half pan, and that should act like an actual half pan. And in theory, if that works, then you get a lot of paint for a relatively decent price. So this was £12, and in theory I should be able to get a few half pans out of it. So it might end up being a more economical way of buying Daniel Smith watercolors, and for that I got the Carboxazole Violet, just because I think it's a pretty color and I love my purples. I'm really curious to know whether they behave the same way as if they came from the tube or as if they are an actual pan. Paper or palettes? Oh yeah, no, let me talk palettes, because part of my thinking for the Holbein gouache is to actually pick my favorite 16 colors and put them inside this palette. As you may know, this is one of my favorite palettes. It's a stay wet palette where you're able to put 16 different colors inside. It is super portable. I have one that's filled with my Winsor & Newton gouache, and as a result I've been able to just paint so much more because it's just so easy. It's so handy. I just have it there, open it and start painting, as opposed to bringing out 16 tubes. So it's revolutionized my painting practice, and that's why I keep talking about it. And I've made a review video just highlighting some of the pros and the cons, as well as the ways to take care of the palette to make sure that you don't get mold or you don't have any other issues. So if you're interested in it, not only will I link it down below, but I will also link the video so that you can watch that first. Staying on the theme of palettes, I was very kindly gifted this set of 6 stackable ceramic palettes by Jackson's. They asked me to pick a couple of things, and I've just been eyeing these for ages, probably because of Natasha Newton, and I just felt, you know, it was time. It was time, and I love that they stack. I love that they take less space, and I also love my ability to be able to do this, to kind of have different mixing dishes for different color families. I also got these. Now these are from AliExpress, and the reason that I got these is because I love the stacking effect, as you can probably tell, but I also love the fact that these had like wells, just because I think it kind of allows me to have a bit more control when I'm actually mixing my colors, to ensure that they don't like all mix together unless I want them to. It says it's ceramic, but I'm not gonna lie, it feels, I don't know what this is. It feels like dense plastic. That's what it feels like. It's definitely, this entire set is not as heavy as one of these. So the quality is definitely different, and it's not that I necessarily like mind. I just don't think they should say it's ceramic when it's not. Like, listen. I don't know, can't explain it, but yeah, I really like the partitions, and I like that they stack. And we're all friends, so forgive the state of this, but this is another ceramic palette that Jackson's very kindly gifted me. And again, I love because it has like partitions that are relatively big. Like, I like having a lot of space to mix, and this gives me enough space to do like small mixes if I'm using the same color. This is kind of a lovely big wash. It's nice and sturdy, it's heavy, and I am really enjoying it, as you can tell. A Clever Fox diary, which I was very, very kindly gifted by my younger brother. And I just wanted to show it because as much as I love art supplies, I also love stationery, and I'm trying to be more organized this year. I'm trying to get it together to just to show you some bits. It has like 3 monthly goals, a space for mind mapping, monthly reviews, and then I also saw something else. Let me show you, like also like weekly goals, so habits to adopt, skills to learn, things to avoid, places to go, people to see, as well as just planning out. And one of the key things that I wanted was basically an undated planner, and which you can see this is, just because it affords me the luxury of flexibility that I need. If you're like me and you're trying to get more organized and you want like a nice way of keeping track of everything, then this might be for you. It also comes with stickers. All the paper I've bought hasn't arrived, and part of the reason that the box that all this came in was absolutely massive is because I bought a full sheet of Fabriano paper. I'm not going to show you just a plain white sheet, but that's essentially what was in the box. But in addition to that, I also bought this, the Baohong paper. It's the Artist Watercolor paper, 100% cotton, 300 GSM, 26 centimeters by 18 centimeters, and 20 sheets in a block. So it's glued on all 4 sides. 9 grain, which is cold pressed, and the cold pressed ones tend to be green. The reason that I bought this is because it was maybe £1 or £2 more expensive than the student grade Baohong paper, which I already love. So I just wanted to compare the two really. Because it's from AliExpress, it normally, like, it told me it would take a month to come. It actually came 2 weeks early, so I'm really glad and grateful for that. But as a result of it taking so long to come and them being sold out on Jackson's, I thought it made sense to actually buy 2, so that when I run out of one, I know to buy another one. And my student grade, which I've bought because I've almost finished my current set, is still in transit. Now this, I tore it off out of excitement. Now this is the Jackson's sketchbook. They've started creating these like really super inexpensive sketchbooks. I think it's less than £1, like maybe 60p, 50p. It's got 20 sheets of like, I guess, cartridge paper. I'm really not sure how it's going to handle any wet media, and to be perfectly honest, if it doesn't handle it, that's fine. I just wanted this to be like a carefree mess around kind of sketchbook. Especially because it's so inexpensive. Like, I love the idea of having a sketchbook where I literally just mess around. There's no pressure, there's no complete pieces. It's just like an actual proper sketchbook. Because at the moment my sketchbooks have finished pieces for the most part, which it's how I do it. But I just wanted to experiment doing different things, and I kind of felt like getting a really cheap sketchbook may help with that. It's 10 centimeters by 15 centimeters. It's got 140 GSM paper, and it has 20 pages, and it lays flat. So my initial intention, and this is A6, so my initial intention was to actually get it in A5, which is my preferred size. However, A5 was sold out. So they only had A6, but they also had A4. Now this is much bigger than I'm used to using. It's twice the size that I'm used to using. But part of my resolutions, if you like, or part of my aim, part of my like target for this year is to experiment with different sizes, both bigger and smaller. So I kind of felt like it was fine to get a bigger size sketchbook and just really mess around and let loose and try it. And as I say, they are quite cheap. Like, this is under £2. In addition to that, what do we have? We have some more sample papers. Okay, so we have Canson Heritage sample paper. Wait, this is thick, my friends. This is very thick. I don't know why. When I get paper from Jackson's, when I get the samples, this is probably the one downside. They're almost always like damaged in one way or another. So this one seems to have almost like a footprint on it. Like, why? Which is really annoying. So 640 GSM. It's just really annoying because obviously watercolor paper is quite delicate. If it has a footprint, is it really the best thing to paint on? Some more samples of watercolor paper. This one is hot pressed and this one is cold pressed, and I think it might be Fabriano paper, just because I really wanted to try that out, and before investing in the whole pad I felt that it might be helpful to get a sample. And then they gave a free gift guide. Now this is the kind of thing I could stroll through because it's almost like window shopping. I don't know what this is. And, okay, I got this. I had forgotten what this was because I was expecting something bigger. But it's essentially the Two Rivers watercolor paper by Jackson. So Jackson's also has 100% cotton watercolor paper, and I got their little sample pack, little being the operative word, but it was just because I wanted to experiment on their different papers and the different weights that they have and see how I feel about them, and also try and compare them to different watercolor papers. It's probably not enough to do like a proper comparison, but it's definitely enough for me to do like a little series of paintings and see how I feel about them. So this thick one, which I'm most excited to use, is 630 GSM. This one is 410 GSM, and this one is what we usually get, or what I usually get, which is 300 GSM. So I'm going to be experimenting with those different thicknesses, and I think it'd be like a cute tiny little series, so watch out for that video. Then with my order I got a free paper guide, over 100 pages, 121 pages of information on different types of paper. Next, let's talk brushes. I got 3 brushes from AliExpress, and here they are. So I got them from different sellers, although they look like they all came from the same. But they're essentially travel brushes, which means that you can put the bristles back in. This one's a little bit loose, so I'm going to have to use like pliers or something to just tighten it to make it nice and tight. Anyway, we'll fix that. But yeah, I just wanted to try getting different types of travel brushes so that I can take them with me when I'm actually traveling around. And I wanted to try and get these kind of, I guess, quill-like shape or mop-like shape. They are all synthetic. So this is a size 6, this is a size 12, and this is a size 14. But essentially what I really wanted was a small brush for detailing, and then I wanted a really big brush. And I wasn't sure how big this size 12 was going to be. On a picture it looked massive, but I just wanted a really big brush to actually be traveling around with. I love using my size 12 brush, and I kind of felt like a brush this size would be a great addition, or even bigger if I could find it. I'd also love to find like different types of shapes and different like lengths. Like I really want to diversify my travel arsenal. Miscellaneous, I bought like a putty rubber because I plan on doing more sketching before my watercolors, and thus it's a great addition. And then again, another kind of miscellaneous, I just bought like a spritzing bottle. I've been using this one, which I think I will obviously still keep. Like the size difference is immense, and I kind of feel like this is great for like carrying on the go and for traveling, etc. But for the studio, I thought that this would be a great addition because this doesn't really like work. I have to like press it down and then lift it up and then press it down again and then lift it up. It's just cumbersome, whereas this is just fancy, you know, just mist, just mist. So I don't know, so I just decided to treat myself to this, and I got it from Amazon. I will link it for you. Kind of confused by this shape. Okay, anyways, thank you to everyone who advised me on this, but I essentially got some Dorland's wax medium, and it's essentially a medium that you can apply to your gouache paintings or to your watercolor paintings to protect them once they are done, so that they don't get ruined by, you know, water. I'd been watching it on Jackson's for ages and it kept being sold out, so when it finally became available, I bought myself this massive jar. My plan is just to go through my sketchbooks, my final pieces, and the ones that I really love and I want to remain in pristine condition, I will put this medium over it to protect it. So Dorland's wax. And then on the theme of palettes, I got three of these massive palettes, and on the inside, so they come empty and they come with this mixing palette that goes on the top, as well as this mixing palette on the bottom that has different wells where you can add your own paint, and then a nice and large mixing area. Now I removed this from the bottom so that I could add these. If you've been on my channel long enough, then you have definitely seen these paints, the Roman Szmal paints. I use my palette all the time. It's featured in most of my live streams, and they were kind enough to send me their entire range. So if you need a palette that can hold a large amount of full pans, or like I think this can hold 74 pans or 140 half pans. So if you're looking for this kind of palette, I will link it for you because it took me quite a while to find. So I'm going to be doing so many videos on these. I'm going to swatch them all out, obviously, once I've finished writing them all out. I'm going to compare them. I'm going to highlight my favorites. But yeah, I can't speak of them highly enough. And as you can see, I'd already bought some extras to replenish my palette before I knew that they were going to send me this incredible gift. And I just love them. I love the colors that I have. I love the granulating colors that they also have that are just absolutely stunning. I love the way that they behave. I love that they reactivate beautifully, and I also love that they are so affordable. Like so affordable. They are probably one of the most reasonably priced watercolor paints I have come across, and they are professional grade. They are light fast. The company is wonderful. It's a small business. I just love them. I loved them before they gifted me this, and now I just don't even know what to do. Like that's how in love with them I am. If you are still watching, then you are most definitely a real MVP, and I really appreciate you. Let me know that you're still watching by telling me which item out of this haul was your favorite. I'm really curious to know. If you're curious to see all the other supplies that I love, other art hauls, and also all the art that I've created with this, then be sure to check out this next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye. So this was the perfect palette that I could find.